18 days to the release of the Xbox One X. Recently we just had some pretty interesting Digital Foundry news. So let's get into it. Alright everyone, we know what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to be talking about Digital Foundry. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of Digital Foundry, and nor am I now. But when they come out and tell you and show you what's on screen, you have to believe it. And I'll say this generation started and it was all about power, resolution, and then we get into the second year of the generation. Power, resolution gate, that's what they called it. Then we get into the next year and yeah, more resolution and power talk. Now in those years Microsoft had something PlayStation didn't. The exclusives.
Got it covered.
Sony's first few years with the PlayStation 4 weren't exactly great. Because think about it, up until Uncharted, what was there that was, how should I put it, pretty good? There was Bloodborne, and that was pretty much it. But when Uncharted came out, people kind of did this slow narrative switch, because that's when we started to hear about rumours of Microsoft making a more powerful console. And bear in mind, this was also after we heard that PlayStation was going to come out with a more powerful console. It gets to E3, it's shown as a fact, 6 teraflops, and the power talk overnight completely disappeared. It went all together. All these websites weren't making constant articles about every game's resolution. All that stopped, and you have to wonder why. Because one of the things I hated about journalism, gaming journalism shall I say, this gen, is that some of the first questions developers were being asked about games wasn't about the gameplay, wasn't about the characters you play, hell, the soundtrack even. But they were asked about what the resolution and frame rate was before game details were even given out. Games were being announced and developers were being asked about specs for the game rather than the game itself. And then we get to E3 last year and that all changed. And look, I've always been about the games. Now people are saying it's about the games now. But here's the thing. Hasn't it always been about the games? Should it have been always about the games? No. It wasn't, but it should have been. Because Microsoft had really good lineups the first few years. This past year, I wouldn't say it was the best lineup. I'd say probably the best lineup was maybe last year or the year before. But regardless, people fell on third party when it came to the PlayStation 4 for the first few years. People were fine with it. People were honestly fine with talking about third party all the time. And we've had some really good third party games this gen. But that's not the point. The point is that people made it about resolution and frame rate. And just because the PlayStation 4 is no longer the most powerful console does not mean you can switch the narrative mid-gen just because you want to. That's not necessarily fair, is it now?
Moving on target location.
So Digital Foundry come out yesterday and show and talk about Shadow of Mordor, or shall I say Shadow of War. And people were blown away by how the game looks. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that that game looks ugly on the PlayStation 4 Pro. No, in fact, I think the game looks good on everything. But that's not why I'm here today, is it? The Xbox One X gets literally a demonstrable difference in what a game can look like on the X compared to Pro, compared to other hardware in general when it comes to consoles. And while Xbox fans were like, yeah, we're actually getting a win, we're getting a really good looking game, we're getting the promise, a third party game hitting 4K. Super detailed. And not just higher resolution textures. That thing we call better graphics. And that's the good thing. But everyone on certain forums panicking. Comment sections panicking. If it's about the games, why are so many people concerned, saying it's not about power now? Okay, because if it's not about power, why are people constantly saying it isn't about power and it's about the games, when people are freaking out over power? Now, Phil Spencer said a few months ago, I think it was August or something, he said you'll see a demonstrable difference. And there was a big difference. And look, people are taking those pictures of mud and saying, oh, there's no difference or whatever. At first glance, there isn't much difference. But you take an image that's got more detail, and you take the whole scene that's more detailed, that image overall looks better. That's not just me making things up, that's a fact. That's all these smaller images with more detail, they all add up to something bigger and better. Microsoft are coming out with the most powerful console ever, and look, they're going to advertise it like that. They should advertise it like that. And I think people should get used to Digital Foundry with these videos like this. And look, it could change in 3 or 4 years. PlayStation 4 might come out and will likely be more powerful than the X, obviously, because it'll be a new gen. So answer me this. You don't really have to answer, but I think you know the answer. If it's not about power now, and it's about the games, what's it going to be about when the next PlayStation comes out? Is it going to be about power or the games? Are people all of a sudden going to care about resolution again? Because what the Xbox One X has done, especially yesterday, is proved that power does matter. Just people have been pretending that it doesn't matter. Simple facts. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that you need to buy an Xbox One X. Like, if you can game on something you enjoy, that's awesome. But you can't go around saying that power doesn't matter when for the past 3 years it's been about power. That's just ridiculous. And come November 7th, everyone's going to have a blast. Well, when I say everyone, a certain group of people, we're going to have a blast. Games are going to look awesome. They do look awesome. Personally, I can't wait to get on playing The Witcher on the Xbox One X, because I bloody love that game. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitter. The link will be in the description down below. I am out. Have a good weekend. Get it!